The Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. He lets me rest in green meadows. He leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Welcome back to our study in Psalm 23. This is week 3. If you've missed the first 2, you can find them on our church Facebook page, and I'm hoping to have them available on YouTube soon for those who are not on Facebook. Psalm 23 is a very familiar passage, one that has brought comfort to so many people over so many years. So it's my prayer that this passage will comfort you in the midst of this global pandemic that we find ourselves in. We're going to pick things up where we left off last week in verse 3, more specifically the second part of verse 3. And it says, He guides me along right paths, or righteous paths. See, David, the shepherd, is well aware that sheep are very prone to wander. And it's the job of the shepherd to make sure that sheep stay on that right path. David would have seen throughout Israel's history that God started and said, look, I'm your God, you're my people, follow me. And Israel would follow for a while, but then they get distracted. They'd veer off. They'd start following some other voice. But do you ever notice that God never stopped pursuing them? No matter how far they veered off, God never stopped pursuing them. God always did something or sent someone to get their attention. Why? Because God's pursuing them had more to do with their position as God's chosen people than it did their performance. Now, moving ahead to Jesus. John chapter 10, we talked about the fact that Jesus takes this imagery of a shepherd, a good shepherd, and he applies it to himself. And he says in John chapter 10, starting verse 11, he says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd sacrifices his life for the sheep. Then in verse 14, he says the same thing. He says, I am the good shepherd. I know my own sheep, and they know me. Just as my Father knows me, and I know the Father, so I sacrifice my life for the sheep. Jesus is our good shepherd. He made the ultimate sacrifice in pursuit of his sheep. He died so that Israel could find that righteous path. But not just Israel. If you continue reading down in John chapter 10, verse 16, it says, I have other sheep too. They are not in this sheepfold. I must bring them in. They will listen to my voice, and there will be one flock with one shepherd. See, both Jews and Gentiles can find that righteous path, but only through Jesus. Only because Jesus paid that ultimate sacrifice. Our good shepherd paid that ultimate sacrifice and laid down his life for the sheep. Without him, we are completely and totally lost. We were incapable of finding that righteous path. The good shepherd had to make that ultimate sacrifice because he knew it was the only way that you and I could ever find that righteous path. We couldn't find it on our own. No amount of effort on our end could ever get us there. The only reason that we are now part of his flock, walking that righteous path, is because the good shepherd laid down his life for the sheep. And if the good shepherd was willing to go to such extreme measures to bring us into the flock, it is completely illogical to think that he would ever let us go. Our position as one of his flock is secure. It will never change. Yes, it is true that sometimes we can take our eyes off of Jesus. We can take our eyes off the shepherd. We can start listening to other voices. But the Good Shepherd will never let us stray too far. He will always pursue us because his pursuit of us has everything to do with our position as a child of God, completely and totally forgiven, righteous and holy in his sight. His pursuit of us has everything to do with our position and has nothing to do with our performance. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. If we are on that right path today, that righteous path today, we can take zero credit for it. It is completely and totally all about Jesus, our Good Shepherd. Ephesians chapter 2 says, God saved you by his grace when you believed. And you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God. Salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done. So none of us can boast about it. The Good Shepherd, he guides me along right, righteous paths, bringing honor to his name. I hope that's an encouragement to you today. Until next time, take care. God bless.